Remember the Einstein quote I mentioned earlier? He provides his students with the conditions for learning. What are these conditions for learning? According to Brian Camborne, an Australian researcher, and as cited in Donald Miller's book, The Book Whisperer, the conditions for learning include immersion, demonstration, responsibility, expectation, employment, approximation, response, and most importantly, engagement. All these factors are important to our teaching approach because they help foster a motivational environment. I can, of course, break down and provide detailed description of these parts, but for now, a quick summary, as many of these will appear again later when we look at the components of a reading workshop. The idea of immersion is not hard to figure out. The students need to be surrounded by books, if reading is what you want. I am constantly adding another book basket or bookshelf to my classroom as my classroom library grows. Demonstration is what we are doing when we repeatedly and constantly show students how to use text for various purposes, and show and tell them about text structures and features using the books and text. During my conferences with students, we often discuss a relevant text feature that help them determine the main idea of the story, for example, or where to find the information they are seeking. Expectations are a must in any school or work environment. In the classroom, students need to have an idea in their mind that they can do it, and teachers need to expect that students will do what is required and never allow skepticism to provide students with an out or an excuse for not rising to the occasion. Students also need to feel empowered to take their learning seriously. This process begins with allowing them to take responsibility for the choices they make and to begin to practice making choices. The sooner we get students to take responsibility for learning, the more likely they will be able to achieve and succeed. Keep it real and meaningful, and this is the challenge, but in the end, the results can be spectacular. Your students need to employ the things that they are learning to realistic and worthwhile situations. The most important things that they learn are the things that apply to real life and real academic tasks. Everybody makes mistakes, and students are allowed to make them and should be expected to make some. They need to be encouraged to continue doing the things that approximate what is expected and taught, while they take time to mature and grow. Students and people in general are always looking for validation. This begins with a response and feedback scenario. We as teachers need to constantly monitor, encourage, guide, and discuss with students the observations we are making about them. The most important or critical condition in the classroom is engagements. Students have to value and find enjoyment from the task they are doing. They need to perceive that they can do what is being asked of them. We need to reduce the barriers that are often placed in the way of student achievement by reducing anxiety and stress whenever possible. Realize now and forever that your students will be watching you all the time. You are their role model and their coach. Everything you ask them to do needs to be modeled repeatedly and intentionally.